Hello everyone, Elijah here. Today I'm bringing you a video about plugins. You've probably seen other videos before about Quest Helper or 117's HD, other quality of life, but in this video I have 10 specific plugins that are guaranteed to improve your PVM skills and help you master the game. And if you learned something in this video that you didn't already know, please leave a like and comment, really appreciate it. Firstly, I want to establish a core concept that applies to everything, not just RuneScape: cognitive bandwidth. Basically, your brain can only handle so much information at once before it ends up like this. Using this core concept, we can apply it to our UI setup to optimize how we present and interpret information in a more streamlined way so that our brain can focus on what's important more easily. Now that this is out of the way, let's jump into the plugins. Ever tried to do quick switches and accidentally shuffle your inventory around like this? Well, not anymore with anti-drag. Anti-drag adds a tick delay to any items you want to move around your inventory, but not to clicks on items, like switching your gear. It takes quite a bit of getting used to, and you can toggle it on permanently, like I have here. You can disable the tick delay while holding control if you want to shuffle some things around. You can see here how I have to click and hold before it lets me start moving an item. It won't just let me shuffle around my inventory randomly. It'll take a bit of getting used to, but now when you try to send those 8-way switches, it'll be much cleaner. Okay, so this next one is a little strange, but I promise it's very useful in the right situation. The plugin Instant Inventory lets you drop items faster. Sort of. Normally, when you drop items, there's a delay in the inventory before they hit the ground, meaning you might try to accidentally drop the same item twice. Well, what this plugin fixes is it instantly shows you what item you've dropped before the tick is finished, so you can drop items far smoother for things like juggling at God Wars or dropping supplies over to a friend in a raid. This isn't actually dropping the items any faster, but it's tricking the client and showing that the item has been selected to be dropped. You can see this isn't always so smooth. When I try to drop my Fang here, it doesn't actually drop it, but my client tells me it has been dropped because of Instant Inventory. So some things might snap back into existence if you have certain thresholds or settings to prevent them from being instantly dropped to the ground. Remember what I said at the start about mental load? Well, in another MMO, World of Warcraft, some of the world first raiders, some of the best players in the game, use a weak aura or plugin called the Crosshair. All it does is put a crosshair in the center of your screen where your character is, where your character always is. Similar to RuneScape, your character's always in the middle of the screen. But when there's hectic mechanics and a lot going on, instead of having to visually recognize yourself from the noise, a simple crosshair makes the information easier to distill. With that in mind, let's move on to number 3, inventory tags. I know a lot of the more experienced PVMers will ridicule noobs or learning players for needing inventory tags, but instead of having to memorize every piece of gear in the heat of an encounter, all you have to remember is red is melee, green is range, blue is mage. Instead of trying to struggle through to try and find where your defender is, it'll stick out like a sore thumb. And if you're scanning your inventory and trying to find that ambrosia, maybe you can make it stand out a bit more easily. This is a hill that I'm willing to die on. I think even the very best PVMers in the game could get even 1% better if they use this plugin to its maximum potential. And that brings us to number 4, Thrall Tech. A Thrall, while being a great DPS increase, can cover up information that is critical to know. This effect is actually a combination of a few plugins: the Entity Hider, hiding the Thralls, and Better NPC Highlight, which you can use the highlight color and feather effect. Just make sure to copy down the NPC IDs I have listed on the screen, otherwise your Thralls won't get the feather effect around them. Another powerful part of the Thrall toolkit is the Thrall Reminder. In the intense part of a final phase of a Warden's fight, trying to remember when or how long away you are from needing to summon a Thrall while doing correct movement, press switches, and everything else can be very difficult. However, this plugin, the Thrall Reminder, lets you know and gives you a notification when you need to resummon your Thrall. All of these plugins combined turn Thralls into an effortless DPS increase and makes the overall experience far better. On to the 5th one on our list, tile indicators. Many of you might know this at this point, but for those who don't, RuneScape is lying to you. You're not where your character is, you're where this tile is. Movement is one of the most important things in all high-tier PVM, which is why this plugin is so powerful. As you can see in the settings, I also have set up the plugin to show the target tile I am moving towards and to the highlighted tile I am hovering at any time. All these combined turn into a great system that lets you know exactly where you are, where you're about to click, and where you will end up at on your current path with perfect accuracy. Using all these together drastically reduces your chances of misclicking or running into an obstacle that you weren't aware of. Number 6 on our list is Visual Metronome. Again, back to that point I made about high-end PVMers, they may make fun that you can't perfectly count ticks in your head, but this makes learning ticks and understanding what's happening incredibly easy. And given that most NPCs are on 4-tick cycle, I have my visual metronome set up like this to provide 4 distinct colors and a repeating cycle to make it incredibly easy to flick. Amazingly, you can actually combine these last 2 plugins together to have the visual metronome match your true tile. This is incredibly useful. Here I am in the Inferno, and you can see the melee attacks every 4 ticks, so I can keep my protection prayer on until I see the tick they attacked, in this case on tick 4. So now in order to lazy flick, all I have to do is put up my protection prayer on the tick before that, tick 3, and then turn it off on tick 4. Prayer on 3, prayer off 4. This next plugin is so powerful, it could be its own whole video. You can do a lot with this to make encounters or even movement far more easy. For example here, I'm showing running to the Valador ladder if you, for example, had a Slayer task here, and those annoying trees get in the way. But if you enable menu entry swap, then you can left click straight on the ladder without the trees getting in your way at all. Obviously, the potential is limitless. Out of combat utility is obviously incredibly useful, but even at God Wars where you don't have to left click the minions, or at Arca's Shadows for example when you're trying to do a butterfly method, and here just to prove my point there's a tree right in front of the ladder and it moves ladder to the top menu choice. The player outline plugin might as well be as close to the crosshair weak aura as RuneScape currently has. You might have seen quite a few PvPers use this plugin when they use the render self command, but I think similar to the crosshair plugin, making your character stand out amongst the crowd is a very useful tool, as you can make very hectic fights like the final phase of the Wardens feel a bit easier to wrap your brain around when there are 1,000 moving things on the screen at once. A second to last plugin of the video today is Tile Packs. Want to try some new content, but you don't know where to stand? Instead of tediously copying tile markers from someone else's video or a screenshot online, Tile Packs might just be the plugin you're looking for. They don't interfere with your normal tiles, but they have quick access to a whole lot of different PVM and scaling tiles across the game. Things like Barrows, Inferno, Muspa, Guardians of the Rift. As you can see here, I'm using the Arca puzzle room as an example, where all the different layouts are marked on these tiles on the floor. None of these are my personal tiles. But I think that this is an incredibly powerful community-driven plugin, and its constantly growing tile set in here is fantastic to see. If you've never tried any of this content before and want to jump in without having to mark all your tiles before you start, give this plugin a go. This one might not seem like much, but there are sound effects in the game that are great at warning you of incoming danger. Zebek's attack sound, Cerberus calling his ghosts, or Zebek in final phase of the Wardens for example. However, sometimes these sounds can be drowned out by other mechanics, and it makes it really hard to tell or hear what's coming next. And if we can use these audio cues to reduce our mental load, that's a fantastic way to make a piece of content a bit easier to jump into. I have Annoyance Mute set up in the following way. On the screen are some of the custom IDs that I've listed to stop a lot of the annoying sound effects at Wardens. Well, there we have it. 10 plugins I'm certain will help increase your PVM performance and help you level up your skills. On a bit of a more serious note, this is my first ever video and I really appreciate you watching. It means a lot. If you could leave a like or a comment, I'll make sure to reply to any questions that you might have. And let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this video, because while making this one, I made a much bigger list of plugins. Thanks for watching.